we humans are social creatures, and because of this, we rely heavily on communication. Whether that be facial expressions,
Kill me.
body gestures, or more commonly speaking, our myriad of languages. Now, considering we are all so diverse, communication doesn't always come easily, especially in the heat of combat where diligence is so important. When hunters can't, or won't, communicate with their companions, the consequences can be quite drastic. Wouldn't it be great if there were a tool for somebody to support and rally their comrades while on the hunt right alongside them? Perhaps utilizing some form of universal language? Well, it turns out such a tool does exist, and that universal language is music. What we have here is the hunting horn. Howdy y'all, my name is Kanai96 and welcome to the Agony of Gaming, the satirical review series where the facts are optional and the jokes are cringy. If you have ever felt that somebody using the hunting horn was a large factor in a particularly difficult hunt going as well as it did, go ahead and drop a like on the video. And if you've loved the hunting horn from the very beginning, or you feel it is an overrated pile of garbage, comment below. I'd love to read y'all's thoughts on the matter. The hunting horn may only be about 15 years old, but the idea of bringing a musical instrument in the battle is by no means a new concept. In fact, in the real world, it is hundreds of years old, with the earliest documented uses being by the Scandinavians in the 6th century, where apparently the lure made a loud sound that was so obnoxious it was perfect for striking terror into the enemy. Which has gotta be the funniest thing I have read all week. Who the heck needs memes when you can have history? The hunting horn is both simultaneously simple and complex. There could be a bit of a learning curve to understanding how it works, but once you get a grasp for the basic mechanics, using it is relatively straightforward. We'll talk about the craziness that is using a musical instrument to hunt giant monsters a little later in the video, but for now I would like to get quick and dirty with the technical stuff to get it over with, because I kind of don't want this video to be as long as the last one. The gist of its functionality is that the hunting horn is able to play notes and songs that provide buffs for yourself as well as your teammates. I can only assume this is caused by sheer motivation. I suppose it'll make sense to anybody who's tried working out without any kind of music. Those people scare me. Each hunting horn can have a total of 3 buffs, or melodies as they are known in game. When it comes to choosing a hunting horn to bring with you into battle, the melodies that it has is actually a larger factor than what its stats are for the most part. At the end of the day, it comes down to hunter preference, of course, but it is quite common for an otherwise high damaging hunting horn to go overlooked if its set of melodies are regarded as subpar. Now at first, this may sound like you are limited in your choices of hunting horns if you are overly concerned with whatever the meta currently is, but it is actually the opposite because most of the melodies are incredibly powerful and influential when on the hunt, and considering there are 26 of them, your choices are quite substantial. Spending an extra 10 minutes to cover every melody is a bit unnecessary because they're all pretty self-explanatory. And you can view them at any time in your hunter's notes. Do your own damn homework. While most of them are pretty standard affairs like recovering some health and increasing defense, there are a few that might be considered abnormal, such as Divine Protection, where when a hunter is attacked by a monster, there is a chance to decrease damage received by a certain percentage. Then the Sonic Barrier, which creates a temporary shield around your hunter that negates getting knocked back a single time, but doesn't appear to negate any damage. Considering knockback negated is already its own melody, it seems a little redundant. Is about the nicest thing I can think to say about that. Then there's this one that is as useful as it is baffling. Temporarily reduces loss of weapon sharpness. What? Excuse me? How does playing a musical instrument prevent my teammate's weapon from losing their sharpness, Capcom? I want answers! Now, when it comes to the hunting horn buffs, aside from wind pressure negated, there are not really any melodies that are considered useless. There are some, however, that are definitely held in higher regard, such as anything that increases attack or chance to deal a critical hit. Even better for the melody that does both. Someone using a hunting horn with attack up and assuming they're actually keeping the melody active can drastically reduce hunting time in an average lobby, simply because a little damage boost can go a long way when it's being applied to everybody. And if you asked any longsword main, they tell you that a hunting horn that isn't giving them a damage boost is pointless and that hunter should probably just uninstall. I, for one, like to lean into the support stereotype that often comes with the hunting horn and have one that can actually heal myself as well as my teammates, because keeping them alive is just as useful as giving them a damage boost in my absolutely honest opinion. But I suppose I also like to deal more damage, so luckily for me, the hunting horn has two different abilities that allow me to boost my teammates' attack power, regardless of the melodies the horn actually has. So now let's finally discuss the combat applications of this majestic musical machine of mayhem. Each hunting horn has the same basic set of attacks, pressing the X button, pressing the A button, and then pressing X plus A together. Each one of these having their own melodies accordingly, that get added to what is known as the hunting horn staff. This basically just shows you what has been played recently and what you have queued up when using the Echo melody mode, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Pressing ZR at any time, even with no notes queued, will have your hunter play a chord which activates your self-improvement. This melody comes standard with every hunting horn and is incredibly useful, because it'll give you a movement bonus that makes you one of the fastest moving hunters with a weapon drawn, and it'll prevent bouncing when attacking the hard points of certain monsters. If this melody wasn't standard, it would probably be considered one of the best, because even a slight increase to movement speed is freaking amazing. And bouncing attacks is super annoying! Kind of a shame it's the only melody that doesn't get shared with teammates, but screw them for not appreciating the musical meta. With the hunting horn, you actually get to choose what your X plus A forward attack is going to be. You have the option between the overhead smash and the melodic slap. The difference between the two is that the overhead smash is one of your most powerful normal attacking moves that you are able to do with the hunting horn, and the melodic slap has above average KO buildup for stunning the monster. So it basically boils down to, do you want to be doing more damage over time, or have your stuns pop off slightly faster? And for anybody who's played Monster Hunter for more than a day, that question kind of answers itself. And then we have the default Silkbind skill, the Slide Beat. With the cost of a single wire bug, your hunter launches themselves forward while negating all forms of damage during the animation, and then unleashing a myriad of attacks that conclude with performing your self-improvement. Now, I am sure there are many uses for this, but the only thing I really use it for is an opening move. Almost every single monster will start the fight with a big roar that will cause your hunter to flinch if they don't have earplugs. So what I normally do is walk up, slap the monster real quick, and right as it's doing its roar, using the slide beat to not get staggered and do a little extra damage while running up my self-improvement. Outside of that specific scenario, I kind of forget this move exists. As far as combos are concerned, my favorite move that I use non-stop while on the hunt is known as the Magnificent Trio. Once you use one of each note in any order, you are able to do this performance that will hit the monster multiple times and concludes with playing every single one of your melodies. This may not be the most effective means of playing your notes and probably isn't dealing the most amount of damage per second, but my goodness, if it isn't ever the most mindlessly simple way of making sure all of your notes are active. And there are few things that stroke my goat more than simplistic effectiveness, except maybe smooth transitions. It is time to talk about the fun bits of the hunting horn, using the power of music to make your hunting party gods amongst men for all eternity, or at least until the melody buffs expire and you have to play them again. You have two choices of melody modes when using the hunting horn. These modes will determine the basic way you will actually use your buffs in combat. Echo mode, sometimes referred to as classic mode, allows you to store your notes on the staff, making you able to play them all at once. With the existence of the Magnificent Trio, the relevancy of Echo Mode is a bit questionable. Really, the best application I can think of being for single-use notes, such as the healing ones, where you can stack 4 of them together and play them all at once for a larger amount of instant healing. Then we have Performance Mode, or as I like to call it, Easy Mode, because you barely have to think about what you're doing. In this mode, playing 2 notes back to back will cause the melody to activate. So while you're going through your basic combo of spamming the X and A buttons and sometimes pressing them together, you will pretty much have all of your notes activated all the time. And at some point, if you notice that some of your notes are not active, you just pop off a Magnificent Trio and then you're good to go. Next up, we have the 2 more interesting abilities for the Hunting Horn that are new to Monster Hunter Rise. First, we have the Earth Shaker. What makes this move so interesting is that it's the most powerful single attack you can do with the Hunting Horn. By pressing ZL+A with 2 wire bugs, you stick a kunai into the monster attached with a wire. Then your hunter strums the Hunting Horn, and the sound reverberates inside the monster to deal incredible damage. The science on how this works exactly is a bit I don't know, but heck, I'm never one to complain about absurd damage. Now the counterpart to this, the Beat of Resonance, wait, that's not right. The Bead of Resonance is a bit complicated. Your hunter places a cocoon on the ground and any melodies that are played get copied by it, while also letting out a sonic wave to deal a little extra damage. This is particularly effective with single-use songs such as Healing and the hunter's own sonic wave because you can essentially get a 2-for-1 special. And on top of all that, if you play a self-improvement while the beat is deployed, the cocoon will emit an attack up melody all on its own. So if you're using a Hunting Horn that doesn't have the attack up song, you can just equip the Beat of Resonance and you can still provide a damage bonus to your teammates. This attack up melody bonus is my sole reason for picking this skill when I'm trying to use my healing Hunting Horn. Now earlier in the video I mentioned that there were 2 abilities to every Hunting Horn that actually increases the attack power of yourself and your teammates. The Beat of Resonance is one, and the Infernal Melody is the other. Arguably one of the most powerful songs you can play, the way you access the Infernal Melody is by this little meter that charges up throughout the hunt. Once it is fully charged, by pressing the ZR button after doing any move that gives you self-improvement, your hunter will then perform this melody that drastically increases the attack power of yourself and your fellow teammates. It is extremely temporary, but if you time it right in a situation where the monster is vulnerable, the extra damage output is pretty insane. If you do nothing else right while using the Hunting Horn, at least develop the habit of using your Infernal Melody while on the hunt. Your fellow teammates will thank you. I'm at another point where I feel referring to this as a weapon just isn't doing it justice. Even though the Hunting Horn is a powerful tool of destruction, to the point where I think there are a few speedruns with certain monsters where this is the preferred weapon because it is a legitimate powerhouse in the damage department. The Hunting Horn is just so much more than that. It is used by few, but beloved by all. I used the Hunting Horn quite a bit in the previous game, and I was very happy to see the improvements it got with Monster Hunter Rise. And even once I'm done with my weapon review series, this is 100% going to be something I use quite a bit in the future. I would like to sincerely thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing if you haven't done so already. I enjoyed every minute I spent with the Hunting Horn, and I was kind of sad that I had to move on to something else. But out of all my videos I've done so far, this is the one I want to blow up on YouTube just so that I could potentially convince more hunters to pick up the Hunting Horn, simply because out of every weapon in the game, I feel it is the one that deserves more love than it is currently getting. But I gotta say, these past 3 live streams with the Switch Axe have been interesting, and I'm quite looking forward to working on that next video. So until then, this is not goodbye for good, just goodbye for now.
Damn, that hammer.
Who's using a hammer? I'm using a hunting horn.
Wait, no. The hunting.
Yeah. I'm using
Yeah, I
a.
had me hooked, like,
I'm using
I'm so
a.
confused.
You're using a goddamn
I
musical
looked at the
instrument.
left. I looked at the left and I was like, that's doing like. Alright. The weapon has
Ain't no hammer got bars like these. Oh yeah, that was a very satisfying and successful Valstrax kill. He only relocated once, nobody carded. My previous hunts with him did not go as smoothly.